So over the last couple of years, sim racing and 3D printing have started to intertwine quite a bit. And for those of you that are already 3D printing, you guys know how amazing it is to just be able to design and print a part when you need it, just to get something on your rig or change something you want to change. But for those of you looking to get into 3D printing, I kind of have a rare opportunity that I didn't take the first time when I first got into 3D printing a year and a half ago. And that's to share with you guys the process of unboxing and setting up a Creality K1 Max and explaining to you how easy it is to get started 3D printing. I did also pick up a Cricut Maker 4. I have no idea how to use this thing, but we're going to unbox it and see if we can figure it out in this video today as well. But before we do that, let me catch you guys up on a few modifications I had to make all this work in the race room. So we moved into this house about 8 months ago, and when we moved in, the only place I could think of to put my 3D printer was on my workbench inside the closet. There wasn't really enough room for that and the CNC machine with the doors and everything, so it was just kind of tucked in there. And this whole time I've been planning on remodeling that closet. Basically, I want to do like a full cabinet system down below, tear out the whole top part, put some double doors on it, make it feel more like a workshop than a closet, even though it's really small and everything. But anyways, point being, I want to remodel this whole thing. So I started by clearing everything out. And I got to tell you guys, 8 months of collecting stuff to build this rig it was absolutely insane how much stuff it built up. It's almost embarrassing, but I'm going to show you guys anyways. And it was just a big mess. So this gave me an opportunity to get that cleaned out, get a full surface all the way across the closet put in. So now I have room for both 3D printers and the Maker 4, and it's pretty much ready to go. We can start unboxing and getting it set up. And then later down the road, I'll finish the remodel and get all that done. So let's get started with the K1 Max, because for that, I actually know what I'm doing. So one of my favorite things about the Creality K1 Max is how easy it is to put together. Couldn't find a box cutter, so flathead screwdriver will do, I guess. On the top, you'll find the manual, as expected. Then underneath that is your glass lid that just pops right on top. And then underneath that, in this foam piece, is the fully assembled Creality K1 Max. Aside from the fact that I can't quite keep the box steady. Now on top of the printer, you'll find your control module or control screen right here. We'll plug that in once we get it in place, and a power cord. All that's left to do is remove the foam and a couple screws, and this thing will be ready to print. There we go. A lot of the parts are packed into the printer, but they're just tools and different things that you'll use for the printer, not so much the actual assembly itself. So really is not a whole lot to it. At this point, we could pretty much get the plastic off, get it up on the workbench, and then get it all disassembled. Now, one thing you want to be really careful about is this door right here. It's notorious for getting broken. I've been fortunate enough not to break one yet, but we'll see if we can make it through another build without doing it. Inside of the printer, you guys will notice that there's 3 yellow arrows. Each one of those yellow arrows points to a screw that needs to be removed to unsecure the print bed. The K1 also comes with a little baggie of tools, so it has everything you need to be able to remove the screws from it. So we'll go ahead and get these 3 screws taken out. Second one's a little harder to see, but if you just look at the arrow tip, you can pretty much find it. There's number 2 and number 3 right over here on the side. And honestly, I think getting that little screw in the back out just now might be the hardest part of building this thing. There is a few parts that I forgot about that have to go on it, but they're super simple. It's literally just the handle and the feet and the spool holder. The screw's out. So as I mentioned, you do get some tools in the box. You also get a pair of cutters for your filament, a metal scraper, which I don't know why they send these metal scrapers. You don't want to use this on your print bed. It pretty much just scratches it all up. There's a little bit of lithium grease, USB drive if you need it. We've got some metal grease and a glue stick. Then as far as other supplies that you get, we've got the door handle right here. We'll get that put on in a second. Got an extra nozzle for when your first one gets worn out. Here's the spool holder. We've got a roll of Hyper PLA white. And then we've got these little rubber feet that I always use because it helps with vibration and helps to stabilize it. So we'll get these feet put on, and then we can get the door handle on. For these little rubber feet, they're just designed to go around the feet that are already on it. So if I bring this over and tilt it up, I can show you guys on the front, but on the back, I'll just reach back there and stick them on. You should put the door on, or magnet on the door first, because it does not want to stay shut right now. So you guys can see these just pop right on the bottom there. And after using it for a while, they start to stick pretty well, but at first apparently they don't. I did not remember that. But there, now it's got a little bit of vibration protection on it, and we get the door handle put on. All right, so for the door handle, we've got a little magnet and the door handle. We're gonna take the two washers, stick them through the magnet, or at least the magnetic piece, and they should just pop right into the little holes in the door right here. And then, as I mentioned, all tools included. Just gonna start putting a screw right through the door here and take the handle. There we go. Now one more screw and it's ready to go. All right, now that that's on, you guys will notice the door actually requires a little bit of pulling to get it to open now. It doesn't just swing open on its own. And we can get the screen put on. Now for the screen, super easy. You guys can see it's got little locks on it. You don't even have to do any screwing or use any hardware. Just peel the little strip right off here. Just take the data cable, pop it right in there. And then this guy you just push him on and it's in place. All right, guys, it's ready for for filament and a spool. Like, that is the full assembly of the K1 Max. So for the spool, you can actually print quite a few different options for where to attach it. But for now, I'm just going to use the stock option. Later on, I'm going to change this out because I actually do want to get something a little more versatile. But as you guys can see, that just slides in and locks in place right here behind the printer. And then you can drop the filament on. I always cut my filament at a 45-degree angle. That way it'll slide through the tubing. Don't ever let your filament go like I just did. It's a good way to get a knot in it. So I'm gonna unwind it and straighten it back out. Now we're just gonna feed the filament right through the tube here. And once it's in a certain point, go ahead and turn the printer around. Now I could have kept pushing it, but I like to remove the tube from the top. So you guys can see right there, the tube's loose. Then I'll push the filament the rest of the way in. Like, you could just strong arm it through the tube and it'll work. And I used to do it that way, but it's much easier to lock in if you just get a little bit of the filament out the end. And then you can push it in, lock it in place, and pop your tube back in as well. And that should be everything we need to do to get printing. Once you have it plugged in and the power turned on, which you do by flipping the switch in the back right next to where you plug the power in, you guys will see it's starting to boot up. Now it's going to take you to the setup screen. So for me, English. It's going to remind you to undo all three of the screws, which we already did. I feel like the touch screen's still warming up a little bit. Privacy policy, yeah, whatever. After you set up your Wi-Fi, it'll ask for your time zone. So you can go in and put in your time zone, set device binding to international, and we can start a self-check where it's basically going to go through and calibrate, level, do everything it needs to do to function properly. So we'll come back in a few minutes when that's done. So that's another great thing about this particular machine is it does all of the work for you. Basically, there's not a lot of setup. One thing I forgot to mention though is when the build plate starts to go up, you want to make sure you pull this foam. And you'll know you got all the screws and did it right as long as the build plate goes up. All right, guys. So it's completely done calibrating. It's done all the work for me. So now all I need to do is start by extruding some filament so I can make sure it's ready to print. Probably don't even really need to do this part. Like, based on my experience, I don't think it actually needs to be done, but I do it every time anyways. All right, so now that that's extruded, go ahead and slide that out of there. Be careful, things are hot. And we can go ahead and test it. So if you go into your files, you'll see local files in here. One of the local files is a benchy. So we're going to go ahead and print that benchy and see how it comes out. That should take roughly 15 or 16 minutes. During the course of that time, you'll see it move around. It's going to heat up, recalibrate, do everything it needs to do to be ready to print, but it does it fairly quickly. Now here we are 6 minutes in and you guys can see this thing just flies through printing. All right, guys, so after about 17 minutes, the printer's done. And you could slide these build plates off if you need to, like if you have a bigger print with more surface area, but these things pop off pretty easy because they don't have a lot of surface area on the bottom. And as you can see, we've got a little boat. All right, guys, let's say you want to print something other than what's already preloaded because there's not very much. you're going to go into the Creality app. I'm going to just add in one of my designs so that I can give you guys an example. We'll use my new button box prototype. And for this print, I had it stand straight up and down so you guys can see. Basically, I just let it pick the position, but you can also adjust it depending on, what it needs. And for this, I actually do need supports, which is why I picked it. You guys will see over here, for my layer height adjustments, I actually print most things at 0.3. If it's a smaller part and I want more detail, I'm going to do 0.1 on these, or I might do 0.2, just depending. But 0.3 is going to give me the fastest print. And then for my line width, I have 0.5. Basically just trying to optimize print times because I do technically do post-processing on a lot of the stuff anyways. I drop down here to the strengths. You guys can see some of the settings that I use. Change up the bottom pattern. Sometimes I'll change up the top pattern depending on what it is I'm printing. If I need it to be really strong, I'll increase my wall loops to 3 or 4. And then for the infill density, for parts that aren't going to be used heavily or like that I have to worry about breaking, I'll do like 5%. If they're going to move or have any kind of stress on them at all, I'll go anywhere from 20 to 90% infill strength. It just depends. But a lot of the parts for the rig, I just do 5% because it prints quicker, uses less filament. And then for speeds, I try to maximize these. The first layer, I was having some adhesion problems, but you could probably go up to 60 for the first layer. And then all of the other layers, I try to run closer to the 300 range. It won't really do much quicker than that anyways, and it'll auto adapt, but those are what I have it set at. I don't think everything else is pretty much default settings there. So in the support section, this is where things get a little more tricky and where you might have your support start to adhere. So I'm just going to show you guys what my settings are. First off, you need to enable the support. I use the auto tree setting, slim trees, threshold angle at 30%. Sometimes I do the remove small overhang. Sometimes I need to do support critical regions if things are missing, but for the most part, I just leave it the way it is. First layer density at 65%, and then first layer expansion 2. Wall support loops, I only do 2, and then minimum support contact area, 0.2. I use different things for the interface pattern. It just depends. Interface spacing at 0.3. And then you guys can see support object XY at 0.45. First layer gap at 0.3. Z override is focus, not the XY override. And then tree branch distance at 6. Depending on the print, I might expand that up to 10. And support branch diameter at 0.1. So these are the settings I use for pretty much all of my prints. And the reason I share that with you guys is because the supports can be the most challenging part. Everything else, once you set a few things, it's going to print. That support thing, though, can be a bit challenging to learn at first. Once you get used to it, though, you just make little tweaks and they start to get real easy to remove. The only other thing I really do with this is I don't use a brim for hardly any prints, so I have that turned off. Now from this point, once you've got all the settings in, you'll click your slice plate. It would slice it, which I already accidentally did. And you would see this right here, which includes all of your supports. You guys can actually drag this down and see exactly how it's going to print each individual layer. Once you do that and you're comfortable with it, you just hit send print and you'll see your printer load up here and it'll say start print. Once you click that, everything else it'll take care of and you basically don't have to worry about it till the print's done. So now that we've got the second 3D printer up and going, we can go ahead and unbox the Cricut Maker 4. And like I said, I've never used anything Cricut. I don't know anything about this, but I do know that I want to get some graphics and stuff going on the rig, get some warning labels and some other things to make it look legit. So in order to do that and do it the way I want to, I thought the best way would be to just get my own Cricut and make my own stuff. So inside the box here, looks like we've got the manual along with, this has like a little digital kit, so it should have a marker. Didn't even think about that part, but some of the vinyls and like some fabrics. There's smart vinyls that you can adhere to fabrics. There's not really sure what those are yet. And then some transfer paper, just some little sample size stuff to get started, which is kind of cool because that gives me something to practice with, and then I can go buy some more vinyl. Oh, and there's a mini weeder, which I think is for pulling stuff off. I don't even know. Like I said, I don't know anything about this thing yet. Then underneath the little book, you'll find the Cricut, which I'm noticing is actually kind of pinkish. I thought it was going to be more white. Don't really care though. Pink, purple, white, doesn't matter as long as it prints vinyl. So Guess we're rocking a pink Cricut. There's a USB cable to connect to your PC, a power cord, and wow, they just kind of stuffed that in there. Holy cow. So for the purpose of this video, I wanted to get the Cricut unboxed. I don't plan on actually testing it yet because I need to learn a little more about it, but I definitely will get it figured out and I'll share that update with you guys. More importantly, in this video, we got the K1 Max over there in the corner, and now we have a second K1 Max right here, which means double the productivity for CupCar 2.0. If you guys aren't already following the build, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you get updates when a new video comes out. And until next time, I'll see you out on the track.